Hey everyone, the Funny Yogi here. This is actually my first real vlog, I would say. It's not going to be just 1 minute of joy. I wanted to talk to you guys today about a topic that has come up recently online everywhere, and some people have asked me about it as well. It's called toxic positivity. So I don't know if you've heard of this or not, but toxic positivity is basically this concept of just always be happy. And people have this idea that it's out there in the world like crazy right now. Like you'll see it everywhere, right? Like good vibes only t-shirts and like on pencils and mugs, like be happy. And it's just kind of this forcing this happiness. And people have recently said that about my Instagram page and my commit to joy, which is my hashtag. And I wanted to kind of not combat that, but talk a little bit about why laughter yoga, this practice, and why committing to joy, a practice that I've created for the last 2 years for myself, is not what I would consider toxic positivity. And the reason being is because committing to joy is just that. It is a commitment. And commitments by nature are hard. So we are not just, faking it until we make it. I mean, that is what we do in laughter yoga. I will even say that sometimes, like we are not happy, we're not laughing because we're happy. We're happy because we're laughing. And so we commit to the laughter, we laugh on purpose, even though nothing is funny. And then eventually it turns into real infectious laughter. So we are doing that when we practice laughter yoga in a laughter yoga session or in my 1 minute of joy videos with you. That's what I'm doing. But it's conditioning the muscles. It's conditioning my emotions. We work out our muscles all the time. We even train our brains by studying books and things, but it's very rare that we train our emotions. And so that's what we're doing in a laughter yoga practice. We're training our emotions, and we're doing kind of a cognitive behavioral therapy approach to conditioning ourselves to find the brightness, find the lightness in life. Now, recently I've been I would say the word troubled the last few weeks when it comes to next level suffering, because honestly, a lot of that I talk about that you see on my page or about Flossom or, minor things that happen, it's kind of surface level suffering. So laughter yoga is a great way to practice emotional resistance to surface level suffering. And what do I mean by surface level suffering? I mean like the everyday shit that just sucks, right? Like your boss yelled at you, or you're in a fight with your partner, or you found out an hour too late that you had toilet paper on your shoe, or you stubbed your toe in the morning. Just like all the regular daily life shit that happens all day long. Laughter yoga is a great practice to help you react in a different way. Or I would even take away the word react and say respond. And you can respond with laughter instead of maybe the F word, even though I still love the F word. But that's really for like the surface level stuff. And that's the majority of what comes our way in our life. So that's why I really love laughter yoga, and I love this practice, and I love committing to joy. Now, it gets really hard when you have not just that surface level suffering, but like next level shit suffering. What I'm talking about is the big stuff in life that maybe doesn't happen all the time, and maybe it doesn't happen to everyone, but sadly it does. I mean, example, what's going on for me these last few weeks is I've been really struggling with this topic of how do we commit to joy through intense, painful suffering. My family this week, someone close to me in my family has been diagnosed with terminal stage 4 cancer. And it's been, that was the first thing, selfishly, I guess, to make me prompt like, how do I commit to joy through this? When I see my family members around me suffering from, all of the pain that this is bringing, and the idea of we're going to lose this person that we love. At the same time, I had, so the universe works, right? It all comes together. I had laughter students come to my class this month that were going through similar things. Some of them got robbed, their car got burglarized. Some of them have other family members or loved ones going through health issues. And it was like, okay, man, I've been challenging myself for the last few weeks since I got our news about, I really need to figure out this answer of how can we commit to joy through intense suffering, because I know that we can. And then when my students came to my class, it was like, oh yeah, okay, so now I actually need to know the answer, because I have people coming to me and they need this answer to how do you commit to joy through suffering. So just one quick example, in one of my laughter classes where I had someone come that was in a really emotional state, he was crying when he arrived. I actually, he said he wanted to do laughter yoga. That's why he came today. He told me what was going on with him. I told him what was going on with me, with my family member. And we started the practice, right? We started to laugh and try to go around do the exercises. We tried it for a good 10 or 15 minutes. And then I realized that it wasn't happening. Even this fake it till you make it, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want him to do it. I could tell he was going between laughter and crying. And so in the middle of one of the exercises, I just grabbed onto his shoulders and I was like, hey, do you want to laugh? He was like, I don't know. And I was like, do you want to cry? And he's like, I don't know. And I said, do you want to sit with me and breathe? And he said, yeah. So we sat down where we normally do our laughter meditation at the end, and we just breathed together. I walked him through a breathing meditation. I believe I did a so hum meditation, and I am. And we just went through everything. So hum, I am, and just being an I am. And then I started offering up different words, like I am angry. I am scared. I am love. I am joy. I am worried. I am peace. I am, and just called in all of these things. And then, we actually sat there and cried. I cried individually. He cried individually. We cried together. And that was pretty much it. We wrapped up the laughter yoga session, and we really didn't laugh that day. Our laughter yoga practice, our committing to joy practice that day, was crying together. And a lot of times what you'll hear from laughter yoga leaders is, there is children, little babies, which I'm going to have soon, little babies, they can communicate in two ways. They can laugh or they can cry. Before they can talk, before anything else, they can laugh and they can cry. And so it's one of our most basic communicative abilities is between those two things. So they kind of say that it's, it's two actions, but one emotion. You can either laugh something out or cry something out. And on this day, we needed to cry. And that was our joy practice for the day. But it's more than just that. Afterwards, I was really thinking about it. Like, okay, well, how else were we able to commit to joy? And I kind of felt like a failure. Like I wasn't able to bring him that joy today. He came to the class. He said he wanted to laugh because he had all this terrible news. But we didn't laugh, we cried and we breathed together. And so I kind of felt like a failure, and I was kind of ruminating on it. And I was like, you know what? No, we still found joy, and I'm in some joy right now afterwards. So the reason being, I think, is number one, we just want to be seen. Everybody wants to be seen and heard and understood. And so it wasn't really a commiserating, where him and I were commiserating together and let's get deeper and deeper and darker and why our life sucks right now. It wasn't that. It was I see you. And I'm going to let you see me. We're going to be vulnerable together. And I feel your pain. I'm going through a similar thing that you're going through right now. I don't know your pain, but I can understand a little bit the emotion. And I think that there is some semblance of joy in not only the community, but just the, shared existence, the shared, the collective reality that we're all contributing to, that we all know that we go through some type of suffering. And to know and to let someone see that suffering and to hold that space for them, that in some way can bring joy. Oh, you're allowing me to feel this way. You know what this is like. You feel that way too. There's some comfort, there's some solace in knowing that you're not alone. And that in and of itself can be a way that we can commit to joy through intense suffering. So finding that community, finding that person that's not going to try to fix it, that's not going to try to ignore it, that's not going to try to one up you and be like, oh, like what happened to you? Here's what happened to me. And who's not going to commiserate with you. We don't need to go on that downward spiral together. Someone that's maybe just gonna sit with it. I think that creates joy. Another way that I thought of connecting to joy through intense suffering is through memories and moments. So this is another thing about joy. I am all about committing to joy, not committing to happiness or contentment, more permeating emotions and feelings that are lasting all the time. No, joy in and of itself is meant to be momentary. Joy is a spark. Joy is quick. Joy is burst of confetti. Joy is a loud, cackling laughter sound. It's momentary. And when I say commit to joy through intense suffering, let's connect to the memories that we had that were joyful, and let's allow them to come back into our existence instead of ruminating and staying in the darkness. I know a lot of people out there, especially when you're dealing with something as horrible as terminal cancer, are just committing almost to the pain. And I feel like in our society, we've had way too much permission for hate and pain and anger, especially over the last couple of years with our social, economical, and political climate. But we don't have as much permission for joy. And again, joy is not all the time. Joy is sporadic. Joy is momentary. So when you're dealing with something very, very painful, that really intense level of suffering, being able to have this commitment to joy that if I walk by a funny sign at Walmart on the marquee, or if I see a child doing something totally silly and ridiculous, I'm going to allow myself to smile in that moment. I'm going to allow myself to connect to that joy and laugh or smile or smirk. I'm not going to just stay rooted in my anger and my pain and my suffering. And maybe it only lasts half a second. And maybe I only get to do that once a day or once a week while I'm going through this very intense suffering. But that's still a commitment to joy, and that's still allowing myself permission to feel the whole range of emotions. So it's not toxic positivity of constantly being happy, constantly being like ignoring the world and like ignorance is bliss and avoiding all my problems, I'm just going to be happy. That's exactly the opposite of kind of what my commit to joy really embodies. So I hope that like resonates in some way. But I also touched on memories, because I think the third way that we can commit to joy through intense suffering is through memories. So joy is momentary. So finding those moments in the future as we're going through the suffering, the funny sign, the funny face, the funny song that comes on the radio, allowing yourself to experience and practice joy in those moments, even though life is fucking hard right now. But also memories and moments in the past. So one thing for me, my family member who's going through terminal cancer right now, I have been reflecting on the memories that I have with her. And there's a lot to be said about a tantric yoga practice. I said this before in some stories. No, tantric yoga is not just sex. Tantric yoga is about being able to experience moments in the past and in the future right now, in the present, being able to really truly tap in to those old memories and feel them like they're happening right now. I am not a tantric yogi, but I have been led through some tantric meditations where I have literally felt exactly like I was in that spot. For me, it was like a fjord in Norway from 6 years ago, and the way that I felt, and I was there, even though I was in a room with other yogis in a yoga studio. So connecting back to those moments of joy that we've had can also, and bringing them into the present moment, I think that's another way we can commit to joy through intense suffering. So I was thinking of lots of memories of my family member, and I was able to find joy. Like at first I would cry, right? Like, oh my gosh, like just crying about doing these, crying about even just thinking about her, right? Because I'm thinking about her, and then it's so easy. The first thing I want to go to is, I'm not going to have her anymore. I'm not. But it's going past that, right? It's committing to the joy. Keep going down the memory and being like, no, what am I trying to find? Okay, family reunion from 9 years ago. Let's go to that. And then I was able to experience the joy that she had brought me at that point. Or my my high school graduation. She wasn't able to come to my high school graduation, but she gave me these pearls right here. So I wear a lot of bracelets on my wrist, and they are just from different travels or people that have given them to me, or things that just remind me to commit to joy. And I wear them all the time. I'm gross. I wear them in the shower. It's disgusting. I wear them. My fiance's like, you need to take this off sometimes, but I don't. Commitment. But I thought of these once we got the diagnosis for my family member, and I decided to put them on. I have never actually worn these. She gave me these beautiful real pearls, a bracelet and a necklace. And I've had them since I was 18 years old. I'm about to be 36 years old, so that is literally half of my life. And I've moved a ton of times. I've moved from San Diego to Santa Barbara to San Diego to New York to LA to San Diego to Seattle to San Diego to Seattle. I like San Diego. And I move, and within those I've moved to many different apartments. And every time I move, I'm very cathartic. I love to like throw away everything. And I've never thrown these away. I've never thrown them away. And I've also never worn them. Always like, oh, think of special occasion. Like, I'm going to wear my real pearls that she gave me at a special occasion. Well, fuck that. I'm going to wear them now. And I'm going to wear them every day. And I'm going to think about her. And I'm going to be able to connect to joy by looking at these and connect to her. So that was just another way for me to bring in past memories, past joyful memories with this person now, even though we're going through this intense suffering right now as a family. So I hope that some of this connected in some way of what it really means to commit to joy, what my commitment is to joy. Again, joy is momentary. So this is the exact reason why I don't think that committing to joy is quote unquote toxic positivity. I know my Instagram may look that way sometimes because all you're seeing is the joy post from the day, but there are some posts that were really hard to do, really hard to pull out of me that day when I had a really hard day, some really bad news. I mean, I've suffered in the last couple years from a lot of next level suffering, I would say, whether it was my own health, whether it was family members' health, whether it was job and instability or financial situation, or a relationship ending. It's been, or mental illness that I have suffered with in the past. It has been a difficult road, and life is going to be a difficult road. But having this commitment to joy, even just having the practice of it, knowing that this is something that I do every day, it makes me find the joy. It makes me find that little tiny moment, because there's always a little tiny moment in every day. I don't even care if it's that you love this kind of freaking donut. Go get that donut on the intense level suffering days. And you might eat that donut and you might be like, I'm still like miserable. This was horrible. Now I never want this donut again. Okay, that didn't work. So we try again the next day. You don't have to find joy every day, but allowing yourself to experience momentary joy when you are in either the surface level suffering or the next level shit suffering, I think is a very healthy, very cathartic, a very emotionally stable way to go about this life. So if you have any questions about my Commit to Joy campaign or about toxic positivity or anything that I've said, I would love to hear from you. So please comment below. If you want more vlogs like this, where I'm talking for long periods of time of laughter yoga and cognitive behavioral therapy and maybe improv and how these things have helped shaped my life, please let me know as well. And again, if you like this, please hit that like button and please also hit subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much, and namaste.